Please stand by as we get ready to launch another episode of this reality radio Cafecast with your host and my husband, Denny J, K5DCC.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition, liftoff.
Now grab your glass and get ready to fill it up with some radio on the rocks.
Vehicles pitching downrange.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Digicom Cafe for our second episode of Radio on the Rocks, our video cafe cast, where we like to examine other hams in the hobby a little closer, put that magnifier on them and look deeper into their lives and how they got in the hobby and what they're doing. I'd like to introduce to you my friend Ray Sult from Evansville, Indiana. We met on Zello, didn't we?
We did on Zello several years ago.
It's not even ham radio.
No, I guess technically not. But our group is very amateur radio oriented.
Yes, it is. And a lot of good hams over there. We have great conversations. Ray, I'd like to introduce you to my co-host, Jim of the World, Professor of the World, Jim Brown.
Good morning, Ray.
Hi, Jim. How's it going today?
I'm fine. I'm W0RLD, and I live in Fishers, Indiana.
Right outside of Indianapolis.
Just the northeast corner, yes.
Less than 3 hours from here, I believe.
Well, it depends on how fast you drive on that new interstate between Bloomington and Evansville.
That's true. That's just about done now, I guess.
Oh, yeah. So,
sounds good.
Ray, tell me a little bit about your background in radio, and I understand you've invented a product that helps truckers get better antenna coverage.
Yeah, kind of invented it. I don't know why nobody else had done it. It's so simple. But I did that for my own truck. You know, I drove a truck over the road for quite a while. And in, I guess it was 2011, I leased a brand new 2012 Freightliner Cascadia. And that was a problem. I couldn't put a VHF or UHF antenna on it because it has no regular mirrors. It was the first semi-truck with these futuristic type mirrors that don't have conventional mirror brackets. So it was kind of unusual at the time, but now most semis on the road look like that. You've probably seen the modern looking mirror.
Yeah.
So there was no way to put a mirror mount. So I had no VHF or UHF antenna. I had a 20 meter HF antenna, but I couldn't mount anything on this truck, not even a CB antenna or a satellite radio antenna. And I was thinking, man, this truck was a mistake. This is a problem. So I ended up making something to solve my own problem. And the first one was just made out of metal. And that thing rusted. I'm literally overnight. I'm not kidding. That thing rusted up. It looked terrible. So it got better. I had to make it out of aluminum, but it was still just for myself. And then I realized what a big problem it is. I wasn't the only Freightliner Cascadia on the road. And most truck drivers are using at least a CB antenna. And the other big thing is satellite radio, Sirius XM. And every truck stop in the country, I'm not exaggerating this, every truck stop, no matter how big or small they are, sells a mirror mount CB antenna and a mirror mount aftermarket satellite radio antenna. And you can't mount them on the Freightliner Cascadia. So that's why the thing has been so successful, because it solves a true problem. It solves a real problem.
So
now
do you have one to show?
I do. I should have I'm sorry. I should have had one ready. Okay. I don't know how well this is going to look here on the camera.
Looks
we
beautiful.
can see it fine.
Oh, you can. Okay.
Crystal
so
clear.
This is the normal mirror mount that everybody would buy, and they put on the mirror and thread the antenna in, coax on the bottom. And a lot of the antennas are sold with that. So what's missing on the Freightliner Cascadia is a 7/8 round post. There's no mirror bracket made out of that. So as simple as this thing looks, I mean, there's nothing to it. This here simulates the threaded holes and the bolts that are already in the truck. There's no drilling required. There's 2 threaded holes at the top of the passenger side door for a curb view spot mirror. And we utilize those threaded holes. So this is just to simulate it. So everyone leaves the shop here, we check it to make sure it fits perfect. Because I hate to have it arrive there and found out I drilled the holes wrong. But it's all on the milling machine. So anyway, that gets bolted to the truck. And this just slides over it, and it just simulates that mirror. So we sell it both ways, with this or just like this. But in 2017, Freightliner modified the contour of the top of the cab. They say it's for aerodynamics. I don't understand really what it does, but they changed the contour. They left the bolt holes the same, but the side of the truck is tilted down, is sloped a little bit, just about 20-something degrees.
20 degrees is significant.
It is. It's almost 20 degrees. So the contour of the body's that way. So when you bolt this on, it's pointing down. Then when they put the mount on and thread a 4-foot antenna, because most most trucks are using like a 4-foot fiberglass antenna. Well, it just points it out too far. It looks terrible. In fact, it's so far out, it's probably illegal because the 4-foot top of the antenna is about 2.5 feet wider than the truck.
Right.
So it's really terrible. So we solved that too. In 2017, this is referred to as the P4 adapter, and I named it that because it solves the problem of the P4 Cascadia. The P4 was made in 2017. So this goes on here. This way, if they already have our old mount and they've upgraded the truck, they don't have to buy a new mount.
Right.
Now, I know this thing might look a little clunky, but when it's on the truck, it looks really good. So this just threads on that other part. I mean, threads, it tightens on there.
Yep.
So now it pivots on 2 axes. Sometimes they want to lean these antennas forward a little bit just for show. So they can lean it forward or back, whatever they want that way. And then to get it lined up vertically, no matter how this is, they can still get it adjusted. Well, it worked out really well because the following year, International modified the top of their cab, and their truck, it puts the post the opposite way. So our mount still works on it.
But your adapter still works because it rotates.
And we make these holes oblong. Well, one hole is slotted for the International ProStar because it doesn't use the 100 millimeter center to center like the Freightliner does. So it has a slightly different bolt pattern. I mean, it's off. It's so slight you could almost fix it with a file, but we just slot the hole a little bit. So the one mount will fit on both of them, and whichever way it is, it solves it. So that's the whole thing. I don't know how good that picture, but that's the whole
beautiful.
mount.
That's a work of art.
Yeah, it shows up very well. Yeah.
And it's all made right here in this little tiny building. Hard to believe. It starts off. Here it is. You know, we buy this stuff in 12-foot lengths. They're cut down to 6 1/4 inches. That's the before and the after because they're polished on the lathe. We use one of the lathes besides putting that little bevel.
Yeah.
So it looks after we cut it, we put a little chamfer on it. That only takes about 30 seconds. And then while it's on there, we polish it. So you could end up seeing the difference, the before and after. And that's pretty much it. So it's not very high tech.
How do you polish it? Do you use a do you use a polishing compound, or you use sandpaper? How do you do it?
Steel wool for about maybe 60 seconds while it's spinning over there on the lathe. Steel wool. And then I use, forget the name of it. I keep it right here, though. Here. Oh, yeah. This Mother's aluminum stuff.
Okay.
And that I've tried a dozen different compounds, and we've had the best results with this stuff. And it's only a 30 to 60 second process. I just put it on a rag, and that lathe spins pretty quick. So it's not very labor intensive to polish them, but
See a couple of handhelds there behind you. So while you're working, you're always listening to radio somewhere. Now those are
I do. I always have,
those aren't Zello radios, are
I
they?
always well, this one is a very similar to the R Finder.
Okay.
It's a UHF analog radio, and it runs Android. So this is my Zello device. This is the NECQ W5.
Okay. Big
so it
screen.
looks like an R Finder, but I'm sorry. Oh, big screen. Yeah, huge screen. Definitely. Yeah. It's pretty. And then at the same time, that will also do. I got DV switch on there for all the digital modes.
Sure. But
I use a separate device for it anyway. So I use this. Also runs Zello. This is just an RT4.
That's what I've got.
Yep. This has a very cheap Motorola port on here just to cover my contacts.
Yeah.
But it also makes the radio look a little different. People see it and they say, "What is that radio?"
Yeah.
And I've got this antenna on.
That antenna doesn't.
Antennas on.
The antenna does
just
nothing.
For show.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Oh, and so it's interesting when you guys are on Zello, which is not a ham radio. All the guys there, they still use their call signs, don't they?
We do. Yes. I ID out of habit about every 10 or 12 minutes whenever I think of it.
And what's your call sign?
It's pretty organized. N9KGC.
Do you have any special phonetics for that?
Not really. Just knowing the Geneva Convention.
Oh, I love it. I saw another number under there too. That's for another type of group which doesn't require ham radio license.
I didn't know you could even see that on there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the other one is NR465 from the Network Radios group in the UK. Carl Hobson's channels.
Yep, I know Carl.
Yeah. So I got several hats. They all got both numbers on them now. I don't know why. But.
You should give us a little tour of your shed there and all your equipment. Kind of walk us through step by step what you do to manufacture these things. A lot of people, they buy product and they have no clue what's involved in making this stuff and the time and the labor involved. They appreciate it even more.
I don't know how well it'll. I'll be using the front because we can't switch cameras on here, can we?
I don't know. Can you?
I think you can.
Oh, you can. I wonder if I could switch cameras. Let me see here. If I disconnect accidentally, I'll be right back. I'm going to try. There should be a way, I would think.
Well, if you want to use the front camera, that's fine. It's good quality.
It is. So I don't know if I'll be able to see what I'm.
Just kind of point it in the general direction. We'll get it.
So anyway, I'm only down to a few pieces of the material. These are cut down to 6 foot lengths now, but they start off 12 foot. The place cuts them in half for me to get them home. Oh, everything is bought here in Evansville too. This stuff comes from Evansville sheet metal, and for the most part, this is Kaiser. It's hard to read it on there, but it actually says made in the USA. So the material we use, I don't know if you can read that right there.
Oh yeah,
but it's made in the USA, purchased here locally, and the entire nut and bolt bin, because this is pretty small stuff and it's pretty dark over here, but the bolt bin is stocked with stuff that's also purchased here in Evansville from Evansville Bolt and Nut. So everything in here, as far as the material, is from the United States. Now, the machines are not, to be totally honest, and full disclosure, these milling machines are Chinese clone. Well, they're made in China. That's the short version. But we've had no trouble with these machines at all. I use these every day. We've converted them to belt drive, so there's no gears to break. The number one problem with these little mills is breaking gears in the transmission. They have a little transmission on them. We've eliminated that whole gear drive, and they're belt drive now. So they're used every day. No failures at all. So anyway, what I was getting at, we cut this aluminum down. This is the angle. Same thing. Kaiser aluminum, made in the USA. Somewhere on here. Yeah, hard to read it there. And we cut everything down to 6 1/4 inch pieces using this bandsaw. I'm going to put another light on here. There we go. So everything's cut with this saw down to the 6-inch pieces, both the angle and the round stock. And then the first step is making all these round posts. So everything just gets chucked up in the lathe here, and we chamfer the edge. Wow, I don't know if you can, is that lathe even in view?
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Good.
Yeah, we can see it.
Sometimes I do a lot of other custom stuff. You know, besides these particular mounts I showed you, I do some other unusual things. I mean, we've made trailer hitch receiver antenna mounts for screwdriver antennas, and most recently I made a mast on here, a mast that mounted on our mount just to get the driver's satellite antenna up above the top of the sleeper. I don't know if he needed that, but he wanted that, so it was made for him. So if we do any drilling on the lathe, this one's set up for drilling on the lathe. But so it's not only these antenna mounts. There's other variations of mounts that I made. But so the first thing is turning those posts, polishing them, chamfering the edges, get them faced so the ends are nice and flat. And then the flat spot. Here's some pieces over here. So we take that round stock, and it has to be made into that flat. See, there's no welding. We have no welds to break. A lot of these mounts, there's copycats out there, and they're all welded because it speeds up the process. I've got some welded ones, but we don't use them anymore. And this was a dual post one. You could put a satellite radio antenna and a CB antenna on it. But you got the weight of the antenna, and you got the wind load 10 hours a day on the highway, 70 miles an hour. You get all that pressure on here and constant bouncing. And if you look close enough at a lot of the welded ones that are on trucks, they have hairline cracks in them. So none of mine are welded anymore. So we mill this flat spot on the milling machine. Sorry if I'm moving so quick, it might be blurry.
Oh no.
Everything gets put in the mill, and I got a little fixture I made there, so it goes into the right spot. And we mill that notch, we mill that flat spot. And then it gets drilled. This machine's set up just for that. You know, you put it in there. Oops. And there's no measuring. I used to have to measure these things, and I'd center punch it. Then I would double check the center punch, make sure it was in the right spot. And then I'd drill it real careful. And about 1 out of 10 would still be wrong. It wouldn't be in the right spot. So I made this little fixture. I bought this fixture, bolted it there, got it all set up, put that little stop in there. Now you can drill it with your eyes closed, because you just put it in there, get it even close to being flat. And if it's off, well, it ends up centering itself. So it drills it in exactly the right spot. And then I just flip it over, and this drill is stepped. You see, it's got, I don't know if you can tell, it's got two spots there. So in one shot, it does the countersink part. Oops. So when the bolt's in there, it's nice. It's countersunk a little bit. So it's all done without measuring anything anymore. So it speeds it up drastically. Because again, this whole thing's a one-person operation now.
I've got a question about that flat place. I've never operated a metal lathe, or I don't have that experience. So to get that flat place, I take it you have to just take off a little bit at a time.
Oh, well, on this milling machine, it ends up being about 4 passes, and we're taking off 240, I think it's 240 thousandths. So about 60 thousandths a pass. The last one is real thin to get a better cut on it.
Yeah.
But it's not real precise. That machine could be pretty precise if it had to be. So if these are off a little bit, it doesn't really affect anything. But yeah, it's not very time consuming, really. course, without the milling machine, I don't know how it would be almost impossible to get it straight. You could try cutting it or notching it somehow with some other, maybe with a saw, but it would be, I think it would be more work trying to cut it somehow. I don't know. But the mill works out great. And then we drilled the flat spots on the milling machine because it's so precise. We drill the holes. The mounting holes get drilled on the milling machine because it's more precise. When they're in the vise, you know they're going to be in line with each other. So rather than drilling them on the drill press, which could be done, again, you'd be back to measuring and center punching. So we actually drill them with an end mill tool in the milling machine. I figured the less measuring I have to do, the better. The better. So that's pretty much it. That's kind of the overview.
It's a work of art. It's beautiful. Beautiful job.
Not bad. And then we do a dual post. Well, I showed you that one dual post. We also do it's just me, on a bigger piece of angle, and it's on the website. We offer one that has two posts on the one mount. And again, it's so they can put a satellite radio antenna and the CB antenna. And there seems to be no interference with that. I've tested it with analyzers and the SWR meter, and there's no inductive coupling or whatever. The two antennas don't seem to interfere with each other. So we feel comfortable selling it that way. And they'll put the satellite antenna on one and the CB or VHF, UHF antenna on the other. There's better pictures of the stuff on the website. It's Mounts, 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 the number 4, trucks.com. So it's mounts4trucks.com.
Here's the website, and he's got pictures of how it mounts, and very nice website.
Oh, thank you. I did that myself. I've been meaning to improve that, redo that. I just haven't had time. That was put together kind of quick, and they're sold right on there. There's we take credit cards right on that site. It's all secure. We use the Equid shopping cart. Yep. So it's pretty good.
So what do you spend more time with now, working on these things or ham radio?
Oh, it's probably 50-50. Probably a little more working in the shop, I guess, because like I say, occasionally we do other stuff. There's the dual post one. That's the one. And of course, everything leaves here with my tags on it. It's got the Made in USA tag and then a little part number sticker on the back. None of that gets put on, though, until it goes in the house or into the shipping department, which is in my house. And I give them one quick polish by hand. I rub them down with a rag real good, get my fingerprints off them, put the flags and the Made in USA on it and my part number on the back, and then box them up and ship them.
I see your clamp actually has a tooth to it in there, too, so it doesn't slip as much.
It does, yes. It grabs the. Now we don't make that anymore. I should clarify. I had made those at the beginning, and that was too labor intensive. So we actually buy those. I got 250 of them last time I bought them, and it's just so much easier to buy that part already made, and it is grooved, and it grabs the post so well that we don't have to knurl the post anymore. I used to be able to knurl them on the lathe, give it that rough finish.
Yeah.
But there's no need to, because I've tested them in the vise, and when that thing is tightened down and it grabs the post, it won't slip. It'll slip in the vise, or it feels like you're going to pull the vise off the table before that thing will move. So I'm quite comfortable that it's strong enough.
Wow. And how many of these have you manufactured and sold to date?
To date, I stopped keeping close track at 1,200. It was a big milestone. I remember I might have told you when we reached 1,000 of them, that was like a big thing. It was a big, it was pretty amazing that I sold 1,000. And then after about 1,200, I stopped adding them to that ongoing continuous spreadsheet that I was keeping track of them on. It's probably around 1,500 now. But that's kind of a guess. I'd have to go back and really look. But That's not too bad, I guess. Somewhere
No.
between 14 and 1,500 of them. Each one, on the tag, on the paperwork, there's a stamp on the bottom that says individually machined, not mass produced. That's kind of my tagline, my slogan for all this stuff, because there's a lot of stuff you can buy to mount antennas, but it's all mass produced.
Right.
And there's nothing exactly like this. Nobody's making this.
Well, it's quality stuff made by a quality guy.
Well, thank you. I don't know. Thanks.
And on ham radio, as we know, you can't talk business or money or anything, but you can on Zello.
Yeah,
so if anybody wants
really
to reach you, how would they reach you on Zello?
Oh, well, I monitor that ZMR channel almost every day. ZMR space 851.405.
And that's your channel. You created this whole ZMR paradigm of radio, didn't you?
Make that too. Yeah, I never say much about that, but that was my whole thing. With the virtual frequencies, the channel names are virtual frequencies because they fall within the cellular band, and we're using cellular usually to connect. Yeah. So it's kind of it's all tied in there somehow. Just
like me and my virtual cafe.
Yes, no, that's a great. I like that. That whole thing is great. It is the cafe. The whole concept of the casual cafe atmosphere, is great. It really is. And and the ZMR is a Zello mode or Zello mobile radio, a play on DMR.
Yeah. Well, you might explain that a little bit, because a lot of our watchers and audience may not know anything about this VoIP communication. Maybe just introduce them to Zello.
Yeah, Zello is a great thing. I mean, it is. It's VoIP to Skype or something. Well, no video on it, but similar to any VoIP phone service people might be using. Voice over internet protocol. And we use it, though, just like two-way radio, as you know. And
with fake antennas.
With fake antennas, yeah. I even got that. See, this was a fake Nagoya, to be honest. This is I didn't know it when I bought it. This was ordered online. I knew the price was too cheap. Something didn't sound right. So it turns out it's an imitation Nagoya. So I figured, what better use for it than on this radio?
Oh,
and
buddy.
It's threaded right on. So.
Funny. Jim, you got more questions, I'm sure. Sorry, I'm butting in on your questions here.
Oh no, I when you held up that radio, you were reminding me of a prank I used to play. There, you remember seeing pictures of these giant radio telephones that the military would use in the field back in the day before they got miniaturized.
Yeah,
that they essentially wrapped the whole side of your head and had a big antenna. And
I could picture it.
And well, one day I found a keychain with a plastic model of that thing. It was about that tall.
Oh my God.
And so when I go out into a restaurant or some public place, this was when cell phones were in there. Everybody had a cell phone, but cell phones are big too. So I would take the keychain part of that and put it in my hand so it couldn't be seen. And I would hold that up and pretend I was talking to somebody.
Oh my God.
And people would come up to me and ask where they could buy it.
That's pretty good.
There's another product line for you, Ray.
There you go. Oh my, I wish I had a 3D printer. I could print little plastic things if I had a 3D printer. I never got one of those yet.
Well, you should. I got into 3D printing last September, and it's really? It's so much fun. And you would have a delightful time learning about this stuff, because you have to learn a CAD CAM program, which would be trivial for you.
You think so? I don't know.
Then you have to have a slicer program, but this stuff is compared to a few years ago, it's dirt cheap now. You can get into.
I've seen that. Yes.
$200 will get you a printer.
Isn't that amazing? It's been 2,000 when I was looking at them at first. Yep. Huge price drop. That's pretty amazing. I've got room for it out here. I keep picturing it at the end of this bench. I figured that's where it's going to go, because there's empty space down there. But I don't know. I don't know. I've never actually got serious enough yet to pick one out. But I think if I had it, I would be doing something with it.
I'm waiting for a package to come in the mail this week from my friend, Professor Jim. We both got these nano VNAs, for checking SWR.
Yes, I have one of those. I've got one.
Did yours come with a case?
No.
Mine didn't either.
Just the circuit board.
He just 3D printed a case for me, so it's on its way, I guess, today.
That's a great idea. That's pretty clever. Yeah, mine has no case. I do like using that thing, though. I've checked my wire antennas and my mobile antenna, and I've used it every chance I get. I haven't used it lately. When I first got it, I was checking everybody's antenna. We were checking coax, checking everything. It's pretty neat.
Fine. It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
And the price was unbelievable in that too. I think mine was $40 something, I think. 45.
Yeah, they're about 50.
Yeah.
$50.
Yeah, very cool.
It's surprising.
Yeah. Well, this is
my brother. I was just going to say, my brother has an MFJ analyzer. It's like $500. Yep.
Oh, I know it. Yeah, I've got one of those too. I bought used. I couldn't afford a new one.
Okay.
We'll wrap it up with maybe some final questions or comments about your ham radio experience, and hopefully some of our listeners aren't hams and might find it interesting enough to get involved themselves. So, Jim, sure. He's climbed the top of the ladder now. He got his extra using our favorite tool, hamtestonline.com. So we have to congratulate Jim, and he's been rather inactive in ham radio for 50 years, and now he's jumping in with both feet. And you've been a ham for how long, Ray?
99, so about 20 years. 21 years, I guess. Maybe.
Can you imagine your life without ham radio now?
It's hard to. I use it all the time now. Yesterday was WARD Day, World Amateur Radio Day.
Yeah.
So I got some contacts on that. I used to be in CB prior to that. I was in CB since the early 70s. Well, I was too young really, but my brothers were into it in the very early 70s. And I've been around some type of radio ever since.
Yeah.
That's what got me interested in it.
Well, Jim, you got the call for the day. World
Amateur Radio. RLD. World.
That's good. There you go. Wow.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ray, so much for being with us today. And thank you for all you're doing to enhance the hobby with your quality products.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely delightful. Good to meet you, Ray.
Well, it was good to meet you too, Jim. And hopefully we'll talk again, either on the air or somewhere, somehow.
How do you prefer people reach you? Email, phone calls, Zello?
I don't answer the phone all the time. So the phone, they can leave a message. The phone number is on the website, but the email I check 2 or 3 times a day. I do check the email regularly. And Zello, I'm on 851.405 throughout the day all the time. Sometimes I can't hear it in here because it gets noisy.
Yeah.
But I do have it on. Or DMR, Talk Group 900 on TGIF.
Oh, okay. Very good. Well, thank you very much, Ray. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. Thanks to all our listeners for joining us here in the Digicom Cafe. It's just our virtual cafe. We're located here in the beautiful Ozarks of Northwest Arkansas. And of course, with my co-host here, Professor Jim Brown. You already heard his call sign. I love it. W0RLD.
That's clever.
You all have a great day. We'll do this again in another week.
7-3 to all.
Yep. 73, Jim. Denny, take care. Thank you.